Hi, today we're going to weave in some ends. Weaving in ends is a really important technique to master because when you spend all this time making a project, you really want it to look as perfect as it possibly can. And the last thing you want is funny little ends poking out in the middle of your sweater or your blanket. So it's important to weave in the ends. It's equally important to weave them in so that they're nice and secure. If you cut the end super close to the knot, which is an option that some people choose, the problem with that is if something happens and this knot comes undone, you don't have any end piece to weave that in to make that secure, and then you're sort of stuck trying to figure out what to do to make sure that your entire project doesn't unravel. So I always like to leave at least a 4 to 6 inch long end that I can weave in on both knit and crochet projects when I'm done. So we're going to start with a knit project, and I always weave in the ends on the wrong side so that it's the wrong side, and so then if there is a little end poking out, at least it's on the wrong side of the fabric and less likely to be seen. But hopefully you can weave in your end in such a way that it completely disappears. You can also use the end to weave in to even out some of your stitches. So on this, I kind of have a little bit of a larger loop here on the end, and we can weave in our end in such a way that we can sort of tuck that down and make that disappear, so that when we see the front side, it just kind of disappears. So again, I always weave in on the wrong side, and for me, I like to go up and down underneath the ridges. So underneath the purl bump, I just go back and forth, up and down underneath those purl ridges, and I usually go over anywhere from 5 to 8 stitches, and then I'll go down to the next set of stitches, and then I'll go back the opposite direction. Going back and forth in different directions just makes the end wound in or woven in that much more securely. So I went over a couple so I started and went over a couple stitches this way, then I've gone back the other way, and then I'm going to go back the direction that I went in the first place. We're going to go under a couple of ridges, and again, I'm just going underneath those purl bumps. If it's a slick fabric, you can actually split the stitch when you go under the purl bump and go through it, and that makes the end woven in that much more securely. And the whole point is so that this doesn't unravel and it doesn't show through. So then, once I have my end woven in, again, and I like to go 2 directions, but 3 times. So I go over and then back and then over again. And then I like to pull that last row tight. So you can see how the fabric is a little bunched up now. And then I clip my end as close to the end as I can get, so that just a little piece is sticking out. And then when we smooth back out the fabric, that end just tucks underneath and completely disappears from view. So when we look at the right side, we don't see that end at all on any of those stitches where I wove it in. And if this was a garment, you definitely wouldn't want it to show through. So knit fabric, it's that simple. You just weave underneath the purl bumps. But now let's look at weaving in ends on crochet, because it can be a little different. So now we're going to start on the crochet swatch, and crochet can be a little different. It can be a little more challenging to know how to weave in the ends because we don't have the tidy purl bumps on the wrong side of knitting. Both sides of the fabric look the same, so it can be a bit more challenging to figure out both how to weave in the ends and how to make it invisible and secure. So I like to start with the same principle. Leave a tail and thread that through a darning needle. And I like to work underneath both legs of my stitches. So in this case, I've just got a single crochet swatch. So I've gone under the front of a couple of legs of stitches, and then I'm going to pull that to make it secure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of travel up my swatch vertically, working underneath various legs of stitches as I see them. You don't have to be precise, you don't have to be exact. You just want to work your way up. I know other people will work diagonally, so they'll go over a couple of stitches and work diagonally, and then they will turn and work either in the same direction, or you can work in the opposite direction to go back down. And if you use your needle as a guide, you can see exactly where that yarn is going to go. And so just work underneath the stitches. You should, I could feel that I couldn't feel the needle, but you can always flip your project over to make sure that you don't see the needle on the opposite side, and then you know you won't see your yarn. And then we're going to pull that through. Be careful not to pull too tightly because it can cause the fabric to pucker. And then I always like to go 3 times. So then I want to go back in that first direction again, working my way up, using my needle as the guide. I'm just working under various parts of different stitches. So I'm going both under the single crochet legs and through the sections where the yarn's been, this would be the top chain stitch that's been worked over. So you can't see the needle on this side. We can't, well, you can see it a little bit there. So we might want to pull that back out and change how we do that. And that's the nice thing, when you flip it over, you can see the needle. So we can see it less there. So we're gonna pull this through again. And then can't see it on either side. So now I've gone through one direction, back, and back a third. So same thing on this one. I'm gonna pull this a little tight. So we are gonna do a little bunching in the fabric. And then we're gonna clip that end as close to the fabric as we can get. So we just have a tiny tail. And then you're gonna smooth out your fabric, and you're gonna see that tail disappears back into the stitches. And if you've done it correctly, you won't be able to see that end on either side. So there it is. We wove in a crochet end, and we wove in a knitting end, and it's completely invisible. So your next project will be perfect.